All right. Hey, welcome everybody to our weekly bestseller publishing call. Excited to be on with you today. I hope today is going to help you quite a bit because no matter what your project is, and obviously this is applicable to you writing a book if that's the project that you're currently working on, but no matter what your project is, it's so important to make sure that you can make solid progress on it, right? Regular progress to completion. And if you just rely upon discipline, it doesn't always work out well. So what I like to do is I like to try to create systems that I can plug into so that just pure discipline is not required as much. So I want to share with you a system and kind of break it down. I'm actually going to share with you a big project that I'm working on right now. I'll share some of the details of it. Not enough to bore you, hopefully, but just to make example of the points that I'm trying to make to you so that you can do the exact same thing, whether you're building a funnel based on your book, whether you're trying to get yourself speaking engagements, whether you're completing your first book, second book, 11th book, whatever it is. We're talking big projects, okay? We're not talking about how to, have a good calendar or how to have a good morning routine. We're talking about making awesome progress on the most important projects that you have. Now, I'm going to share my screen for those of you that are watching. If you're listening to this, then hopefully I'll be able to say enough so that even though you're not seeing it, you can get an idea of what it is that we're talking about. Okay. And then let's dive right in here together. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to move my camera here so that I can write on my whiteboard. But first and foremost, if you are going to make solid progress on your most important projects, then you better have a good way to choose what your most important projects are. Okay. In other words, if your business is anything like mine, then 100% for sure that there is always something nagging at your time. There's always another thing to do. There's always somebody on your team that has a question for you. And those are important and you want to answer those and you want to take care of what needs to be taken care of, but you don't want that to be done at the exclusion of your most important projects, like the ones that will really, really move the needle. So the first thing I want to look at with you is what's called the Eisenhower matrix. You have seen this or heard of this more than likely. It's a matrix to really determine what big projects, most important projects you should be focused on. It's like a time management tool. It's actually named after the former President Eisenhower, General, and then President Eisenhower. I think it was the 34th president, something like that. And Stephen Covey actually took what Eisenhower used and then kind of repurposed it for his own time management purposes. So that may be where you heard it, but it actually is called the Eisenhower matrix. And very simply, I'm just going to draw the matrix across the board. You have what is urgent. That is always knocking at your door. You have what is not urgent in your business, in your life. And then on the other side of the matrix, you have what is important and you have what is not important. Okay. So obviously, and we're going to name each one of these quadrants. Obviously, the things that are both urgent and important are things that you need to take action on the quickest. Let's call that the do box. These are things that you have a clear deadline on. And these are things that there are significant consequences if you don't do them. Okay. Here's the thing about what's urgent and important. For the most part, that's the stuff you're already doing. Okay. The urgent and important, that's where you're taking action. And oftentimes in a business, that's what you're spending a good amount of your time on, things that are urgent and important. Unfortunately, sometimes it becomes urgent because it was always important, but we put it in the non-urgent category until it became urgent, and then we acted on it. So urgent and important, everybody pretty much understands, okay, that's the stuff that we need to absolutely do, and that's the stuff that you are doing. Let's go all the way to the other side of the matrix, And let's talk about what's not important and what's not urgent. Let's call this the delete box. Okay. The delete box. Look, this is the stuff that these things are distractions. This is, surfing social media. This is the stuff that adds no real value to your business. This is stuff as much as possible you need to delete. Now, look, you already know that. That's why I've taken these two extremes. The urgent and important, you need to do that because there's a deadline and there are consequences. The not important, not urgent, you need to stop doing that because it's nothing but a distraction and it adds no value to your business or to your life. Now, let's talk about where there's more of a gray area, okay? The urgent but not important. Urgent but not important. This is the delegate box, okay? The delegate box. This is really where you need to find somebody else to do this because it needs to get done, but not requiring your skills, okay? It needs to get done, but not by you, okay? And oftentimes, the problem that we have with our most important quadrant, which is the important and not urgent quadrant, is that we end up doing the things that we should be delegating. If there are things in your business, in your job, in what you do on a daily basis that you could pay someone $10 to $100 an hour to do, then you should probably delegate that as quickly as possible and instead focus on what is important but not urgent. This is the stuff that you need to have a schedule for, okay? This is what you need to have a schedule for because these have to do with your long-term goals. And, I would even say not just long-term, but mid-term goals. And this has to do with items that don't have a deadline. And this is where things can get a little bit tricky, okay? What I want to talk to you about today is the quadrant of the items that are not urgent, but they are very important in your business. Writing a book may not be urgent in your business right now, but let me tell you, there are few things that you could ever do in your business that will move the needle as significantly as writing a book. It is so important that you have a book to grow your business, and yet it's not something urgent. You can keep doing what you're doing without changing very much. However, to get a book done and this to be a midterm goal, long-term goal, you're not probably going to have a deadline on it because there is no urgency. So you need to make sure that it's on your schedule to do. The same is true for many other things like building out real great marketing assets, like funnels accompanying with your book, like new ways to advertise and market your business, perhaps doing a podcast, getting on media, PR, building out systems to continually crank out content, etc. These things are not necessarily urgent, but they are so important to the scale and the growth of your business. So the things that we want to talk about today are all in this quadrant. They're in the not urgent, but important quadrant. Okay. So the first thing we need to know, if we want to make solid progress on our most important projects, is what are our most important projects? Well, they're all going to be found in that quadrant. Okay. They're generally not the things that are urgent. They're generally, they're never going to be the things that are not important or urgent. So the other three quadrants, not so much. So if we have that down and we start thinking in terms of, okay, what are our most important projects, then I want to give you 5 steps to making great progress with whatever you've chosen as your 2, 3, 4 most important projects. And I'm going to give you an example of a project that I'm working on. It's a new funnel offer. It's what we call an SLO, or a self-liquidating offer, which means that it's a very low price point item, like a course, a mini course, a master course. It's something that could be from $7 to $47. and we'll spend money on advertising to bring in new clients. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to liquidate the cost of the advertising. So we bring in a new customer for as close to free as possible, meaning that if we sell it for $27, then it's going to cost us $27 to attract that customer or close to it. Okay. If you can do that, then you have an ATM associated with your business. And maybe that isn't the most attractive way to put it. But what I mean by that is if you can generate leads for free, then you can grow your business at scale in a massive way. Okay. So that's why this is again, it is a not urgent, but it is a very important, it fits that quadrant perfectly because we have many other books and offers that we run, but we need a new one and a new self-liquidating offer. So what do we want to do? Okay. So what are the steps to this process of making great progress on your most important projects? That's a lot of P's and PROs, isn't it? All right. So number one, we want to set a numbers-based goal or outcome. Okay. You're not always able to do this, by the way, but as much as possible you want to, and I'm going to show you a technique to do it. Set a numbers-based outcome or goal. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is we want to be able to break down our project in such a way that we know the increments or percentage of the project that we want to accomplish over whatever set period of time we want to accomplish it. Okay. So we want to use our brain to break down whatever project it is into percentages or increments, okay, into numbers. Because if we can do that and we can break it down in an even fashion, let's say there are, and there are actually 5 of the one that I have, there are 5. And so each one breaks down to roughly 20% of the project. Now, they don't always break down in such a even way. It could be that the first one is 10%, the second one is 30%, the fourth one is 20, et cetera. But we want to break it down as much as possible. It does not have to be even. We just want to break it down into some type of numbers-based outcome or goal. Now, we're going to take the next step of then setting some action steps, okay, or process based on what our goal is or our outcome. Okay. So based on the breakdown that we created for whatever big project we have, we then want to set the action steps for each one of those incremental pieces. Okay. So let me skip to another board and let me just show you 5 for my self-liquidating offer. So for me, creating a new self-liquidating offer means, number one, I need to decide what that offer is going to be, because I have tons of content that I've created over the past 10 years for my clients and for people in the self-publishing, book launch, PR, and media space. So how do I do that? Well, I decide by surveying my audience. I do that both to people on my email list, and I do it to my clients as well. So I sent out a survey to my clients about a month ago. I got about 100 results from that survey. I'm looking for the exact language and the specific things in that survey so that I can actually know, okay, these are the things that move, that they feel like move the needle the most. Okay. So this is number one. Number two for me is I need to then architect the offer. Okay. Architect the offer. What that means is I need to decide on the upsells, the downsells, the bumps, right? I need to from start to finish, really know where I'm going with this offer, where it's starting, what the price points I'm going to test, what the bumps are, the upsells and downsells, because I want to have the highest average order value possible. Okay. Now, by the way, if none of this is making sense to you, don't worry about it. Remember, what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to figure out how you can make great progress on whatever project it is that you are working on. Okay. For me, it's this self-liquidating offer. Okay. So I broke this down. Step number one, survey, decide. Step number two, architect the offer. Step number three, I need to build the funnel. And by the way, I'm not doing all of this myself, right? I have a team, or I'm paying somebody to help me build the funnel. And this includes things like the copy itself, meaning like the words on the page. So the copy of the funnel, and any videos, et cetera, that need to be created. So this needs to be built out. There's also, of course, the tech. But remember, I'm not doing this. I am orchestrating this. I'm delegating this, because I'm not the guy that is going to build the tech out. However, I may write some of the copy, et cetera. Step number 4, after that is done, is I want to begin testing ads. And so what that means is I need, for my ads, I need images, I need copy, I need targets as in who I'm advertising to. And primarily I test this stuff on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. And then last but not least, if we find, and when we find ads that are working, then we begin to scale that. That means more traffic, and that could mean different sources, right? Such as TikTok, et cetera. So different sources to my offer itself. So these are my 5 steps. Now, I don't know what percentage each of these things are. This may only be about 10% that's already completed. This may be about 10%. This may be bigger, maybe as much as, 30 to 40%, right? And then maybe this is 2020. I don't even know if that all adds up to 100. You get the point. It doesn't matter in one sense right now. I just mapped out my 5 steps. And now what I begin doing is I begin looking at all of the steps, the micro tasks that are required for doing this, right? So I have to write the survey in step number 1. I have to write the simple emails. I have to send the emails. I have to look at the data, et cetera. And then I have to move over to the next step, which is then deciding. Okay. So to go back to what we were talking about, again, I just wanted to show you my example. The steps are, we want to set a numbers-based outcome goal. So what are mine? Well, I have 5 primary steps. I'm going to figure out, well, step 1 is 10 or 20%, step 2, whatever. And then from there, I'm going to set action steps, or the process for each one of those items, because we need to start making progress on each one of those things. Now, by the way, if you don't have a schedule or a deadline on this, then this thing could stretch out a long time. So, right out of the gate, you want to make sure, okay, I know I want to get this completed in 3 months, or I know I want to get this completed in 1 month, or whatever. And then you work your way backwards based on what that goal is. So step number 2, set action steps, right? This is where you begin looking at those micro tasks that need to be done for every single one of the steps that we outline. Okay. Step number 3 is we want to identify one action for the next 7 days. One key thing that you can work on and complete. That's the key. And complete in 7 days. The cool thing, when you do this, and step 4 is similar, and then step 5 I'll give you in a moment. But when you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to get a dopamine hit. Your brain is going to be so excited that you checked something off the box and that you've moved forward on this project. So as much as possible, you want to pick something on that list that you can have fully completed in 7 days. So if we go back again to my list, and I've already done this, but for me, that was this surveying and decision period. I knew I could have that done in 7 days. So I had a team. I actually didn't do it myself, but I had a team write some questions for the survey. I made adjustments and changes to it. I then took care of writing the email. I sent it, and now I've got all the data back. So all this was done in 1 week. I felt great about it because we actually made some terrific progress on the funnel, and that gets me into action for my next step in my funnel building process. Okay. So identify that one action that will help you to get the dopamine hit, something that you can complete, something that you can feel great about. Now, along the lines of that is the smaller way to look at it is get a quick win on the very first day, on day one. Get a quick win today, right? Just something. And this also, of course, will help with the dopamine hit that you're going to get right away and that you're going to get after the end of 7 days. But get a quick win, right? Take one micro task of that week-long project. You know you're going to complete this part of the project in 1 week. We'll take one micro task that you can complete today and get a quick win on it, like right out of the gate. Make sure that you can get that thing done and that you can make progress on it so that you can feel good about it. Your brain can tell you you're doing a great job. You get a dopamine hit. And then lastly, and by the way, this isn't necessarily in order as far as lastly goes, is you want to be able to share with a positive community what your goals are. You want to be able to share with a positive community what your goals are and ask for help and accountability, right? Look for people to, I mean, if this is a positive community and you're sharing with them, hey, I want to accomplish this, I want to get this done, then look for accountability and goals. Last week, or maybe it was the week before, I don't remember, but I shared with you, one of the challenges that I've had, and I asked you if you were a turtle or a cheetah. Remember that training that we just did? And I said, hey, I learned that I was a cheetah and that I was trying to act as a turtle in my content creation, especially for a book. So what I did is what I should have done a long time ago, and that was hire Bestseller Publishing to actually create my book. And I told everybody on the BSPU call that because I wanted you guys to ask about it. I want to be able to share what progress we're making, and we're making progress every single week. I have a meeting with Matthew tomorrow. We've already outlined the entire book. We've outlined all the chapters, and this took place just in the last 2 weeks. And now Matthew and I are beginning to outline the content for every single one of the chapters. And we have our first meeting tomorrow to begin doing that. So I have a positive community, you, my BSP community. I'm sharing with you my goals. You should be able to do that as well. But these steps are necessary. So step one, set a numbers-based outcome and break it down based on percentage increments. Step number two, set action steps and process for the whole thing. What are the action steps for step number one? What are the action steps for step number two, et cetera, for each one of these goal items? Step number three, identify one of these action steps that you can complete in 7 days, right? These are big projects for the most part. So you want to be able to complete one of the parts of the project in 7 days so that you can feel great about the completion. To be able to do that, step four, get a quick win on day one. So you're going to start this thing today. You've done the full breakdown. And by the way, the full breakdown of this, that may be your quick win on day one, right? Your quick win may be you breaking down all of this and outlining all of the steps. Fantastic. Congratulations. Get a quick win on day one so you can feel good, feel that you're making progress, and share this with a positive community so that you can get help, get accountability, and just share your challenges and of course share your victories at the same time.